Picture this. You've been in a calorie deficit for about 8 weeks. You're eating clean, you're hitting the gym, you're doing everything the way you were told to do it. And then somewhere around week 4 or week 5, the scale just stops. It doesn't budge for days. Some mornings it even ticks up a little, even though nothing about your routine has changed. If that sounds familiar, I need you to hear this clearly. It's not because you're lazy, and it's not because you're doing something wrong. Your body actually has a built-in system that can quietly work against fat loss, even while you're in a calorie deficit, and almost nobody explains how it really works. By the end of this video, you're going to know the 7 places your body is fighting you without you even realizing it, plus the actual plan to work with your body instead of against it. And honestly, the last one on this list is the one that surprises people the most. If you appreciate this type of content, gently tap that like button. Let's get into it. Your metabolism slows down more than you'd expect. When you cut calories, your body doesn't just sit there and keep burning energy at the same rate it always has. It adjusts. Your resting metabolic rate can drop lower than your current body weight alone would predict, which means the exact same diet that worked in week 1 stops working by week 6, even though you haven't changed a single thing about what you're doing. Researchers call this adaptive thermogenesis, and it's basically your body pumping the brakes. As far as it's concerned, less food coming in means it's time to conserve energy. Here's what this actually looks like in real life. Someone starts a diet at 2,200 calories a day and loses weight steadily for a month. Then, without changing anything, the loss slows to a crawl, even though they're still eating that exact same 2,200 calories. That's not a plateau caused by cheating or slacking off. That's the body's engine quietly turning itself down. This is reason number 1 the scale stalls, and it has nothing to do with willpower. But here's the thing, this isn't even the sneaky one. The next one is happening inside your brain, and you'd never guess it's connected to your stomach. Number 2 is something most people have never heard of. Your hunger hormones start working against you. There's a hormone called leptin that basically tells your brain, we have enough energy stored, you're good. But when you lose fat, your leptin levels drop, and that signal gets weaker. Your brain starts thinking you're running low on fuel, even if you're not. And it responds by cranking up hunger and cravings, while quietly telling the rest of your body to conserve energy. Here's what that looks like day to day. You used to be satisfied with a normal-sized dinner, and now that same plate leaves you thinking about food an hour later. You're not being weak-willed. Your brain's fuel gauge is reading empty, even though the tank isn't. So the further into a diet you get, the hungrier you feel, and the harder it is to stick with it. That's not a lack of discipline, that's biology working exactly as designed, just against the goal you actually want. And that hunger doesn't just affect what you eat, it affects how much you move. Which brings us to number 3, and this is the one almost nobody talks about. You start moving less without realizing it. There's a concept called NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's all the small movement you do throughout the day that isn't a structured workout. Fidgeting, pacing, taking the stairs, just general restlessness. When you're in a calorie deficit, your body quietly dials that down. You sit more, you fidget less. You take the elevator instead of the stairs without even thinking about it. Here's a simple way to picture it. 2 people can do the exact same workout, but if one of them is naturally fidgety and pacing around all day and the other is sitting still, that difference in everyday movement can add up to hundreds of calories by the end of the day. And because it happens so gradually, you don't notice you're burning fewer calories outside the gym, even though your workouts haven't changed at all. So your metabolism slows down, your hunger goes up, and your daily movement goes down, all at the same time, all without you noticing. Let's pause here for a second, because that's already 3 systems working against you before we even get to the rest of this list. And here's the part that makes this so easy to miss. None of these 3 things feel like a single dramatic event. They're small, gradual shifts. which is exactly why they're so easy to blame on yourself instead of your biology. If this is helping make sense of why fat loss stalls, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. All right, let's keep going, because the next one might be the biggest one of all. Number 4 is stress, specifically a hormone called cortisol. When you're stressed, whether that's from work, from not eating enough, from poor sleep, or honestly just from life, your body releases cortisol to help you handle it. The problem is when cortisol stays elevated for a long time. Chronically high cortisol has been linked to increased fat storage, especially around the belly, and it also tends to increase cravings for high-calorie comfort food. Think about it this way. Someone can be nailing their diet and their workouts perfectly, but if they're also working 60-hour weeks and barely sleeping, their body is walking around in a low-grade state of emergency the entire time. And a body that thinks it's in an emergency does not want to let go of stored fat. It wants to hold on to it. You could be doing everything right with your diet and your workouts, but if your stress levels are through the roof, your body is still holding on to fat like it's preparing for something bad. And this next one is going to explain why the number on your scale might be lying to you even when this whole system is actually starting to work. Number 5. The scale doesn't actually tell you what you think it does. Body weight fluctuates day to day because of water retention, sodium intake, hormones, even how much food is currently sitting in your digestive system. It's completely normal to lose fat for 2 or 3 weeks straight and see the scale barely move or even go up slightly, simply because your body is holding on to more water during that stretch. Here's a real pattern people run into. Someone loses 3 pounds of actual fat over a month, but because water retention shifts around during that same month, the scale might only show a 1 pound difference, or sometimes none at all. This is where most people quit, right at the exact moment their body is actually changing underneath the surface. The scale is one data point, not the whole story. Number 6 is sleep, and it doesn't just make you tired, it actively multiplies everything we just covered. When you're sleep deprived, leptin drops even further, so you get hungrier. Cortisol rises, so you store more fat and crave more junk food. And your NEAT, that everyday movement we talked about, drops too, because your body is running on low battery and conserving energy wherever it can. Here's what that looks like. 2 nights of bad sleep in a row, and suddenly you're reaching for snacks you'd normally skip. You're skipping your walk because you're too tired, and your workout the next day just feels harder than it should. That's not a coincidence. That's 3 systems getting hit at once by one bad night's sleep. So a few nights of bad sleep isn't just making you groggy, it's quietly working against your metabolism, your hunger hormones, and your movement, all at the same time. And that connects directly to the last one on this list, which loops all the way back to where we started. Number 7, and this is the one that surprises people the most. Some of the weight you lose isn't fat at all, it's muscle. If you're in a calorie deficit without enough protein or without any resistance training, your body doesn't just pull energy from fat stores, it starts breaking down muscle tissue too. And muscle isn't just there for strength, it's metabolically active, which means it burns calories even while you're doing nothing. So here's the loop. Losing muscle lowers your resting metabolic rate, which takes you right back to problem number 1, except now it's worse than when you started. Someone can step on the scale, see a lower number, and actually be in a worse position than before because a bigger share of what's left is fat, and a smaller share is the muscle that was helping burn it. This is exactly why the same diet that worked at the beginning stops working later, and why some people end up lighter but softer instead of leaner. So here's the part that's not what you think. It's not one big villain sabotaging your fat loss. It's 7 small systems, your metabolism, your hunger hormones, your everyday movement, your stress levels, your water weight, your sleep, and your muscle mass, all quietly working together, or in some cases, working against each other. Here's the actual plan for working with your body instead of against it. First, give yourself a diet break every several weeks, a short stretch at maintenance calories, so your metabolism doesn't keep sliding downward the whole time. Second, prioritize protein and resistance training together, because that combination is what protects your muscle while you're losing fat. Third, prioritize sleep and manage stress where you actually can, because those two things do more to keep leptin and cortisol in check than almost anything else you can control. Fourth, don't judge progress by the scale alone. Track trends over 2 to 4 weeks. Take photos. Pay attention to how your clothes fit. And fifth, protect your everyday movement on purpose. Take the stairs, go for a short walk, stay a little restless. Put those 5 things together for even 1 month, and most people notice the difference before the scale even catches up. Their energy improves, their cravings settle down, and their clothes start fitting differently, long before the number on the scale reflects it. None of these fixes require more willpower. They require working with the actual systems your body is running, instead of fighting against them. And look, if you've been stuck for weeks feeling like you're failing, you're not. Your body has just been protecting itself in ways nobody explained to you until now. The moment you start working with these 7 systems instead of ignoring them is usually the moment the scale starts moving again. If this video helped connect some dots for you, that's exactly why I make these, and a like or a comment telling me which one of these 7 surprised you the most genuinely helps this channel grow. Thank you for watching until the end. See you next time. Stay curious.